Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So, like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Picking Down podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peeblers. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. A nice little birthday weekend this past weekend. It was a good time. Yeah, appreciate that.
Little birthday in the Shy?
What'd you say?
A little birthday in the Shy?
Oh yeah, man. Had a little Cinco de Drinko, man.
Cinco de Drinko.
It always falls right around. You got the Derby.
It's always
Saturday.
day after, yeah. Always day
man,
after.
I don't know. I know you guys might not be horse racing guys, but man, the Derby's fun to watch.
I watched the
My
Derby.
horse. Yeah. I had to pet. You got to throw a little bit of cash, Zoo. You know, remember how fun that was betting on horse racing, man. It's that adrenaline
dollar, man. I lost every dollar, man.
You lost every dollar, yeah. But I bet on the second favorite, and he was in like the middle of the pack the whole time, and he was the one that pushed right up at the end, and he lost by half a nose. I was, oh man, 10 to win 45 Zoo right down the drain, man. But on to better betting. The NBA's been treating me pretty well lately, man. I gotta say, nice little covers in game ones of the games last night. Timberwolves plus 5.5, Pacers plus 7.5. Man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, nice little parlay combo there.
Nice, man. All I gotta say is thank you, Knicks, man. When the Knicks were down 10, I believed in them because of one man, Jalen Brunson. The only reason, man. We're watching a legend born right now, but. Yeah, the next game, that was pretty competitive, pretty much what I expected, but the other game, shocking. Just shocking. Shocking, man. I got no words for that game. No words.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have words for it in a little bit.
Yeah, he'll find them.
You have a couple of words, but the fact that now you just brought up Cinco de Mayo, the first weekend of May kind of might be low-key an underrated weekend. If you think about an F1 Derby, like Cinco de Mayo, NBA, you're in the thick of NBA playoffs. Like that's a little underrated. Now that I just put two and two together.
Yes, sir.
I think it's not the best weekend, but it's up there. It's in the top 5. I feel like
it's a top 5 non-holiday. Like it's not a holiday weekend.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of a normal weekend with a lot of stuff that's always going on, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. Speaking of the Derby, I watch it from time to time. I'm not saying I'm a consistent watcher, but I mean, I think that sport might be the most difficult to bet because I don't know anybody walking around saying like, yeah, the Derby bet, I'm good at that. Like that's my thing. I feel like the Derby bet is a little bit more herky jerky, but
they're very serious about it. And you know what's funny? Yeah. Just a quick side note on FanDuel, you have to go to a completely different. If you're in the normal FanDuel Sportsbook app, for all you bettors out there, if you want to bet on horse racing, you can, but it takes you to like kind of a separate website. And your money does transfer, but the bets don't show in your normal sports book. You actually have to go to the separate horse racing because I think it existed first, and that's why. But it's fun, man. It's more fun to be there and do it, though.
I'm about to say, I think I'd rather that's a bucket list, like get to the Derby, like being in the infield running around. Like, that seems like a really good time.
Good time.
So, this, it's not a horse racing podcast, but we had to get that in for, Derby had to be mentioned because it is a huge event, but. Speaking of the playoffs, I think we all kind of witnessed what happened last night with the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, and we kind of wanted to start there because that's one of the more shocking events I would say in the playoffs so far, and how we were saying before the pod, like probably in the last couple of years, or just how it started. So I wanted to ask the guys their opinion on what's going right for the Timberwolves and what's going wrong for the Nuggets, and people, you can go ahead and get started.
That's the best defensive performance, Zoo, that I've seen in a long time. I mean, it felt like I know everyone's talking about Jamal Murray. He's getting absolutely abused out there. We were taunting this guy last week saying, man, no All-Stars, no All-NBAs, but he shows up in the playoffs, drops 50. Man, maybe it's just the Lakers. Maybe it's just the Lakers.
That purple and gold gets him going.
Everyone knows the matchup that he had against the G League Heat team in the finals last year. I'm not saying that it was going to be an easy series. They did handle their business. But, man, this Timberwolves team is legit. They have multiple defenders. Sean, you've shouted out their pause length on the perimeter defensively. and they are just absolutely man. I mean, MPJ had actually probably been their most efficient scorer in the playoffs so far, and he was completely shut down there in game 2. I mean, if you break it down, since halftime of game 1, the Timberwolves have manhandled the reigning champions. I mean, just absolutely manhandled, from Naz Reid to Alexander Walker. Mike Conley, man, doesn't score any points, but he put up 10 assists. He moves the ball around well, to your point, Zoo. He's that point guard that the Suns could have used this year, man.
Yep.
The veteran guy, selfless. He's there to win a championship and do his job. Kind of like what Chris Paul was doing for the Rockets in years past, the Thunder a little bit, the baby Thunder, to kind of get them guided in the right direction. And Anthony Edwards, man, they've been making the MJ comparisons. I know he turned them down. It's too soon to tell, but it's sports media. That's what we do. And I was just most impressed with Cat. And I think he's one of those guys where when he comes out in a game, and I'm speaking on game 2 right here, and he gets going early, he has the utmost confidence. I mean, I hate to bring it up. This man dropped 50 in the All-Star game because he was just making everything. He's a confidence guy, and if he's having an off night, you cannot rely on him at all, and you need Anthony Edwards to drop 45, which you could argue was a bit more of game 1, even though I think he did have 20 points, Cat. But Anthony Edwards did have to carry them towards the end of that game. Whereas game 2, he said, all right, young guy, you can take a little bit of weight off your shoulders here. I'm going to carry us. He did have to offset Aaron Gordon's hot first quarter in game 2. And it was impressive because, I mean, no one else on the Nuggets is getting going. Jokic is inefficient, shooting 11 of 25 in game 1. Not sure what he shot percentage-wise last night, but I bet it wasn't great because he only had
5 of 13, I think.
5 of 13. I mean, Jamal Murray, 6 of 14 in game 1. Not sure, once again, his shooting percentage last night. But 12 blocks, Zoo, and 11 steals, and holding your opponent to 35% from the field. I mean, you can't ask Thibodeau to coach a better defense, man. But this Timberwolves team, they're a new breed right now, man. I don't know. There's no real team I can compare them to, like former teams, because they got the star power, but they play like the Pistons defensively.
Well, they haven't lost in the playoffs, so it's kind of hard.
It's crazy. They haven't lost in the playoffs.
Yeah. So
I don't know what compare.
I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, I don't know if we're doing predictions or whatever, but they're 2-0 on the road, going crazy. Home. I think the Nuggets might steal one, but I think this ends in 5. I think they're demoralized.
I think they steal one, yeah. There's no way.
I think they get one in Minnesota. They get one in Minnesota. Sorry, Zoo. Adios to the future bet.
But
everyone always talks about the 3-0 comeback, how it's never really happened. 2-0 comeback is pretty difficult as well, especially when you're talking about a team that is going back home.
Yeah, so going back home.
It's just
that rarely happens. I don't even know how many times that's happened in history that the team on the road goes up 2-0.
Yeah, maybe a couple times. I mean, I can't even think of it. Oh, Zoo.
Boston Celtics.
Bulls, Boston
Celtics did at the Chicago Bulls after Rajon Rondo got injured.
Yes, sir.
So
they did come back
2-0 against the 1-8 seed.
Was that the Isaiah Thomas?
Yes,
that was the fraudulent 1 seed. That was the fraudulent 1 seed.
Yep.
That was the most fraudulent 1 seed I've ever seen in my entire life. But man, like watching that game, like game 1, they lost. I was a little surprised, but it was a very competitive game at the end of the game. Yep. Like Anthony Edwards dropped 40. Like just like when Ant-Man drops 40 points, I'm like, okay, he had his night, and he's having his night a lot of nights, especially against the Phoenix Suns. But that's Swiss cheese defense. But my goodness, that defense by Jaden McDaniels, making Jamal Murray look like a preschooler.
Invincible.
Man. Yeah, he got Jamal Murray bitching to the refs, making money signs to the refs, throwing a heat pad on the court, throwing a towel. Like he's acting like a child. He's acting like a child, man. And I will be shocked if the commissioner doesn't kick him out the next game, suspend him for throwing something on the floor.
Well, he just got fined, so he didn't get suspended.
Okay,
thank
God, because I need him. I need for my future. I need Jamal Murray to play this basketball game. I will not let it go because I will not let it go. I will not let it go because right now we gotta make some coach because the physicality, the refs are letting these boys play, man. They're letting them play like a little more because the one thing about the physicality, it benefits the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
It benefits the Minnesota Timberwolves because these wing guys, as you said, Mike Conley is the only small dude on the court. Like, you look at Ant-Man, he might be 6'4". He built like a linebacker. Jaden McDaniels, 6'7", super long. Nas Reed as a stretch 4, stretch 5.
He's so underrated,
Dude, and he's a two-sided player. He plays offense and defense. Like, he's really bothered. He's really bothered Nikola Jokic. Like, really bothered. Like, Rudy Gobert, this guy, shout outs to him. He just won Defensive Player of the Year. The thing about Rudy Gobert is he's a great defender. But on this roster, he doesn't need to be because everyone on his team plays defense. They did not miss a single beat without Rudy Gobert. So I feel like, Rudy, this is your last year going to get DPOI because Victor Wembanyama is going to win this award the rest of his career when his team becomes, I would say, at least a 500 ball club, and they'll be able to give it to a guy on that caliber of a team. But this team, even on the bench, Nikhil Alexander, that dude is long, lanky too. Yeah. Like everyone, because the Timberwolves, they got a bench. That's what they got. They got a bench. They got athletes that are two-way players, while the Denver Nuggets is running out Reggie Jackson, Justin Holiday, and Christian Braun. Like, I'm sorry. I always said when they were playing the Lakers, it was just the starters and then hopefully fill 10 minutes and hopefully survive those 10 minutes with the bench guys because the Denver Nuggets don't got a bench. It's the starting lineup. But the problem is this starting lineup gets off to terrible starts. It happened against the Lakers and now with the Timberwolves. My goodness. It's just like the game. I don't get it. Because, like, the passing, I love Nikola Jokic. I think he's the best player in the world. The turnovers are killing me. Like, some of the turnovers, he's lobbing it, missing passes. Someone's cutting, like, miscommunication, which is really weird because this team has a really good chemistry and they've played together a long time, especially multiple playoff series, multiple regular season runs with the same exact roster. And it just feels like they're disconnected on offense. And I just have to give the credit to the defense, making them look that bad on offense. Because, man, this might also be exposing how bad the Lakers defense is. Like, you compare Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell as that backcourt. There's no point in attack defense. And he's like, yo, you got to be kidding me. People blowing by, creating open shots. Like, maybe can only do so much as a rim protector. Well, you got Nasri, Karl-Anthony Towns down there. Like, man, we don't even need it to do much, man, because these boys, I said it last time on defensive, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. These guys are playing that level of defense. And I'm throwing Ron Harper when they put in Alexander, man. They're having these long, lanky dudes, that 90s style defense with hand checking, and it is making my boy Jokic look not the MVP right now. No. Like, this is not like, especially like the first game, he had a nice stats. He got 32 points, but he had 7 turnovers.
44% shooting. Big man.
Like okay, like that's an okay game for Jokic, but this last game, he got 16 rebounds, so good for that. But 16 points, a lot of turnovers again. He just looks like he just doesn't look like that basketball savant that I was seeing against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, Zoo, do you think it also had to do, and I said this to Sean, I think right before you hopped on, that with Gobert out, it forces Jokic to try harder on defense because he has to step out to guard Cat.
Yeah.
And then it tires him out because his issue is fatigue, right? That's literally the one thing you can take advantage of him is forcing him to play defense.
Oh,
if you can't just sit down low with Gobert, maybe – I'm not saying they sit Gobert for the rest of the series. I'll shout out him. He just had his first child. But I think this is showing that, look, they've been great with Gobert too. I think we can all agree a much better camaraderie, chemistry than last season when this was a huge issue with their twin towers. But, man, I mean, it proved that at least against the Nuggets, this specific matchup, kind of like how we were worried about the Lakers last year with their size against the Nuggets, right? Maybe going a little smaller and more athletic is what you can
Bruce
do
Brown.
to get rid of.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that was just something I noticed because Jokic had to step out. Cat ended up pump faking a couple times, driving.
Yeah, and as you said, perfect analysis. Karl-Anthony Towns is a confidence guy, and that first quarter just sets the tone for the rest of the game. Because I've seen when Cat struggles, gets into foul trouble, frustrated, 2 fouls,
That's
he's
his
out.
problem, the fouls.
He's just done.
Yeah.
He's just done. Like, you just don't need to worry about K. It becomes extremely passive. But he started off cooking, just jab stepping, pull up 3 with the hand in the face, midi game. He did hit this nice drive. I was like, Carl Anthony, that is a key thing. You got to make him uncomfortable, especially in that first half of basketball. Try to ruin his confidence because he's 100% a confidence guy. Because when he loses his confidence, he's not like really he's a very low impact guy if he's not scoring the basketball. Like, he doesn't really do much else outside of getting buckets, and
he's not a rebounder.
He's a solid rebounder, but he's been really, really impressive in this playoffs right now. And he's playing like complimentary basketball to Mr. Ant-Man right now, who's really showing his playmaking ability now. Like, that's one thing in the past. I'm like, okay, I don't think he's the greatest passer, but when he gets double teamed, he's making the right decision. I don't think he's an elite passer, but we've seen growth from being a scorer to now be a playmaker. And you got to be
Tatum in that, Zoo. A little bit of Tatum in that when Tatum took the hop, becoming a bit more of a facilitator.
Yeah,
guys like D Wade became that way too. D Wade kind of stepped up in that way throughout his career, especially as he started getting younger stars. So
yeah, exactly.
Man,
Ant-Man is definitely
he's only 22.
Yeah,
he's only 22, which is okay. We haven't seen his prime yet, because when his prime hits, it's gonna hurt, because this guy could be dropping 30 points in the NBA soon.
And it's funny. Remember, I think you guys know this, but the conversation, like a side conversation in this series, has been about the GM, the guy who once was
Connolly,
Minnesota, whatever, or Denver, whatever, and then he switched, and it's kind of like he mirrored each team, and basically he built it to beat Denver. Because, like, I think all of us on this podcast kind of thought, like, well, Minnesota's kind of a sleeper of, like, they kind of got a couple intriguing options. It just depends on how they're going to play throughout the season. And, Minnesota, they was pretty much at the top of the rankings from start to finish. Like, they wasn't just a team that rose throughout the year. Like, they dominated all year. So, I guess if you're asking a Timberwolves fan, it's probably like, oh, this isn't shocking. But it's like, if you ask most of America, they're a little bit like, oh, what the hell's going on? And to the cap
came out 1-1, I think I still would have been surprised.
No, out of Denver. I think I guess I agree with that. The 2-0 is shocking. It's just super shocking. It's super shocking.
I would have been like, that's impressive that they're coming out of Denver 1-1.
Yeah. Sure. Which makes me nervous about Game 3, because it's like I feel like they're just going to be jacking a bunch of threes, going crazy, because they feel like they have no games to lose, which you shouldn't do with the defending champs. But besides that, I was telling people before the part, I was like, I think part of my issue is I just kind of slipped on Cat, because Cat is a former #1 overall pick. Like, he's a guy who's a dude, to your point, Zoo. He can score the basketball. He averages, I think, 23 points career, 11 rebounds, like shoots, I think, 39-40% from 3. Yeah, he's a dude. It's just the demeanor. Like, the demeanor is of it's kind of eerily similar to like Anthony Davis. Like, Anthony Davis is like a really good player. Now, he's like better defensively, and Cat is better offensively, but it's like you kind of want him to be the #1, but it's like LeBron's the #1 on that team, even though he's 39. And it's like, but Ant is in his prime, or about to be in his prime, and he's a #1 option. So, when Gobert went down, I was thinking to myself, like, I got nervous for Denver, because then I was thinking, like, maybe they're not going to play as hard as they should, because they think, like, well, Jokic, and maybe if Jamal Murray snaps out of his funk, it's just going to get us over the hump, because they're not going to have Gobert, and they may not be as effective. But we saw that they actually, to Peebles' point, they looked a little better without Gobert. Now, that's not to say let's just bench Gobert. This is stupid. But I'm interested to see, like, what the minutes would be in the next game, just to see, like, if, say, I don't know, they get down a little bit to Denver because they're just not playing well. They maybe bench Gobert for a little bit and see if they can recapture that magic they got in Game 2, because that was a thrashing. Like, holding them to 80 points. I know they're the #1 defensive team, like, I guess defensive rating team, but that's still crazy. Like, and I guess some people will be like, 80 points is wild. Even if you're shooting bad, 80 points is crazy. That's like college. Like, college is like the college scores are usually like 80 to 81 or 70 to 72. Like, that's the scores in college. But to your point, you brought up Nickeil Alexander Walker and Jaden McDaniels. Like, having wing defenders is a cheat code. You got guys on the wings that can just make your #1 scorer look average, or in this case with Jamal Murray, non-existent. I think we all kind of agreed too when I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like, Jamal Murray is what stirs his drink, and if he's not playing well, you're not going anywhere. Like, and Nikola Jokic, he hasn't played well, but in at least the last couple of games. But even still, like, Jamal Murray, throwing the heating pad. He was even. I think at one point, I think it was a dude. I'm not sure who the guy was, but like he was like talking to his dad in the stands. Like
he was complaining
like a brother.
to his dad. He was complaining to his dad.
Sounded like Caleb Williams, man.
To me, there's two things I look at when I see that. I think about what Denver went through last year, and I don't know if this is a Denver thing, but it might just be like new kid on the block syndrome. It's like you're feeling yourself too much. Like you win the championship, everyone's giving you praise, and you're front running. Like Golden State is a perfect example of that, but the difference is they just kept winning. Like so they could kind of front run because everybody knew at the end of the day they were going to keep winning.
Yeah,
some of these teams that get into the spotlight for the first time, they don't realize, like, dude, you got to go back and do it. And I know I bring up LeBron on this podcast not, but here's an example. Like, we just talked about Jokic and his fatigue. This is why LeBron going to 10 straight finals, like, that can't be done. Because it's hard to do that every year. Yeah, it's hard to do that. I mean, I know Jokic is a big dude, and, like, big guys normally get tired. I get that. But even if it ain't Jokic, like, any player trying to repeat is the reason why Steph, LeBron, I mean, who else has repeated in terms of championships? I mean, the Spurs dynasty, I think maybe they repeated one time.
They never did.
Like Kevin Durant with Golden State. Like, but that was
dynasty. Spurs dynasty never went back to back, so it's extremely hard.
Okay, so it's
extremely
like
hard.
The Miami Heat. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, Miami Heat, Golden State Warriors, and the Shaq Lakers in the modern era.
Yeah, the Shaq Lakers. They did. They would, but
no, yeah, they didn't go back to back. They only won one.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, they only.
I'm talking about the modern era.
Yeah, modern era. I don't think outside of like you said, Golden State,
90?
Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the two was in the modern era.
Well, even if so, it's just three. It'd be three teams. Yeah. It shows like in this league, and I brought this up a lot. I feel like in this league, it's so talented that I don't think anybody saw a team like Minnesota coming and being in the spotlight and like dominating Denver. So it's like, what the hell? Like, go ahead.
I have a stat about the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the beginning of the year, preseason.
Oh God, not the preseason rankings, dude. Don't pull that on me.
Before that, no. If you want to bet on Minnesota Timberwolves to win a championships, it was 66-1, and that was 16th in the NBA. So there were 15 teams that you could bet on that had worse odds than the Minnesota Timberwolves. And what they're doing right now, they have leapfrogged the Denver Nuggets based on odds now, based on what they've done. Yeah, what they've done in this series. So Minnesota Timberwolves have beaten every expectation that anyone had because I definitely didn't see them becoming the number.
Except for Timberwolves fans, that's it.
Yeah, I don't even
think
they're the only ones
and that doesn't count.
I feel like Timberwolves fans were a little bearish after that the whole debacle that first season with Rudy Gobert, but they have figured it out. And I have to give a lot of credit to Coach Finch and his coaching staff because it takes a lot. It was a lot of strategy of how to integrate 2 7-footers because that is not easy as far as space is concerned and using two bigs in that way. But
they're doing he probably called up Popovich, man. He probably called up Popovich for the Duncan Robinson, Tim Duncan. I'm telling you, man. Maybe he did done it, but you got to be willing to ask for help. Yeah.
I also think and I wrote this down. I know we were just killing Murray about his attitude, but Michael Malone too. Like, you cannot be that just unraveling in front of everybody. Like, I understand every coach gets fired up. I get it. But it's like he's shown signs, even a little bit when they've had like bad moments within games, even though they've won a lot of games. He's had moments where you see it that's in him. And to my front running part, like when your coach, who is the leader of the team, and I'm gonna get to Nikola Jokic in a minute, but it's like he's the front face guy. Like, you can't be acting like that. Because now when you do that, like you said, Jamal, that does not now hear me this. I'm not excusing Jamal Murray. Like, you're a grown man. Like, dude, have some composure and stop throwing stuff on the court. Like, what the hell are you doing? Terrible. Like, I don't even think like they gave him $100,000 fine, but I bet you that's not even in the rule book because everybody has enough common sense to know you can't throw stuff on the court. Like, you can't do that.
Bob Knight,
I don't care what the hell's going on. Because just imagine if like someone actually got hurt and got
injured.
That's crazy.
That would be awful. Yeah.
Like, it altered the series. Like, that would be crazy. So it's like, and I think too, didn't he he tried to throw the towel and it didn't get there, so then he threw the heat pad. It's like, bro, you're having a bad series.
Jamal Murray was so bad that he couldn't even hit the shot with the towel, man. Like, he was missing out.
It's crazy.
Man, I'm sorry, Jamal Murray, man.
The coach, and so to me, this is where I'm looking at Michael Malone, and whether it's fair or not, I'm looking at Jokic. Like, the series is not dead, so I hate to have this conversation because they can easily win game 3, and then now it's a real series.
Oh,
yeah. Because if they win game 3, it's a real series. It's a real series. They win game 3. Yeah. They lose game 3, it's over.
Okay.
But because nobody I know the 2-0.
After one more game, they go down 0-3. Okay.
Because it's hard as a defending champs. It's like, and I'm going to preface this before I say this. Like, it's hard for me to just kill the defending champs. Now, if this was just a regular team and they hadn't proven they've won a championship, I'm like, oh, it's over. It's dead. They're done for. But they've won a championship, so I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt of going on the road, rallying the troops. And I'm kind of maybe expecting Minnesota to be feeling themselves a little bit and just doing a lot of uncharacteristic stuff. Because you're up 2-0 on the road. Like you can't tell me that they're not feeling themselves right now.
And bro. I know we want to talk Knicks in a second, but it's all going to depend on if this incident right here, if it fired Jamal Murray up, or if he's going to be. Yeah. There's a difference between getting fired up quietly and just showing it with your game,
composed,
or if he composed anger really, or if he just starts flailing and starts and trying to take over the game. Because if he tries to do that, that's game over. Because this team's too good defensively to even allow him to try that, let alone him be successful.
It's the worst of worst. Like, not only is he not playing well, you're going against 2 dogs on the perimeter.
Oh, yeah.
And he's hurt.
So that's what makes it makes me feel like I don't know if he's ever going to get it back, because he could even play well. And I guess his version of playing well may be like, okay, he gets 18 or 20 points. I don't think that's still going to be enough. He's going to have to go nuclear. And you know what also this is showing me, and I was about to get on Jokic, but I just want to say something about Jamal Murray. Maybe this is why he's looked at as like, you're a good player, but you're not an upper. He's gotten, to your point, you brought up, I didn't even think about the Heat last year. Like, he was going against a bunch of G League guys and he was going crazy. And even in the bubble, he had that crazy explosion. That kind of where it started his legend of being like the guy in the postseason. But it's like, maybe there's a reason why he only gets crazy in the playoffs. Like, you could say he's a clutch player, but maybe it's just, maybe in the regular season, it's just more of who he is. And now when he's maybe going against teams that could match up with him on the perimeter, it's showing of like Jamal Murray's good, but he ain't that dude. He ain't that guy. He just has moments when he rises.
Everything.
I think we got tricked by the Lakers series too, because to your point, Zoo, he's going against freaking D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. And if you really break it down, he got pushed up higher because of the 2 game winners he made.
Game winners.
If he didn't make those 2 game winners,
his field goal percentage
in that series
was low 40s against the Los Angeles Lakers. So he had 2 great, unbelievable shots and moments.
Yes.
But if you look at his overall series as a whole, it was not the greatest.
Masquerading. He was masquerading. Yeah, that's what he was doing. But to end this, and we can get on the next, like, whether it's fair or not, like, if Jokic does go down 3-0, he's gonna have to answer for that. And if they lose the series, he's gonna have to answer for it. He's gonna have to answer for it.
You cannot get swept. Like, you cannot get swept.
You can't get swept. Like, you're gonna have to, I think Jokic benefits, and I don't think this is by design, but I think he benefits with which is why people don't destroy him, is because he does guys, honestly, I just like to be in Serbia and I like to do horse racing and I like to dance around a campfire. He likes to be nonchalant. And I think that's strategic because it makes people look at Jokic like, oh, well, Jokic really doesn't care about ball. I'm not buying it, because you cannot care about ball and almost be on your 3rd MVP. You care enough to win. You can't sit there and say, well, I don't work out. This is just God-given. Like, no, to win 3 MVPs, you have to be somewhat dedicated. Like, stop with that. Like, you care. Because if you didn't care, you just go out there and average, and you wouldn't have, like, when you play against Embiid, you wouldn't want to go against him. Like, you care about playing basketball. So I think to his point, to his little, I don't want to call it a shtick, but his whole like, oh, I don't really care. It's just like, I just like to be in Serbia and I don't really care about the MVP trophy. I'll pick it up when I get back. Like, no, now you're being talked about because of what you've done in the regular season. And I know it's a regular season award, but we always say to people who won MVPs, we take what they did in the regular season and apply it to the postseason. Like, you're now in a different category. Like, you're being talked about as a Pantheon great. So guess what's about to happen? If you get swept, or even if you just get 1 game, you lose the series, that fire is going to have to be on your ass, bro. Because if you got 3 MVPs, now we're looking at like you're 1 below LeBron. Like, you're in that kind of, I don't think he's in the Steph or LeBron category, but you're going to be talked about in that that realm because you have 3 MVPs. That's just how it goes. And everybody goes through it. KD, I was just killing KD last week. Like, he's about to have more. KD's only got what, 1 MVP?
1 MVP.
Yeah, like, he's already got more MVPs than KD. So it's like, and it would be if he wins it this year, that's 3 out of 4. No, you about to get flamed. You can't skate now and be like, well, and to your point, Shaq has always brought this up as for like big men. like you see Jamal Murray struggling. Get on your horse, bro. Get on your horse and go dominate. I need a 40-20. I need a 40-25.
Kobe.
Yeah, that's what he did. Like sometimes you just got to do that. And I think too with Jokic, it's a little bit more difficult because obviously he's not as athletic as Shaq. But Jokic sometimes struggles with like the Lakers series years ago. Perfect example. What did they have when they beat
the multiple bigs?
JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and Anthony Davis. Athletic bigs bother Jokic.
Like Anthony Davis by himself multiple. Having different types of looks
rotation
on deep. Exactly.
Even though Cat's not a defender, but Naj Reid.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need
Kyle Anderson too. Kyle Anderson.
He's another one.
Good. Yeah, I don't know about that slow-mo jump shot, but he got IQ and he's a really good defender.
He's a good defender.
Really good defender.
Once again, to your point, they weren't. No one was expecting Gobert to miss that game. So when it got announced, they're like, "Well, what are they going to do?" Well, then they start Kyle Anderson, and it just throws him off completely.
It's crazy.
Boris Diaw. He Boris Diaw. Boris Diaw might have had a better shot. Though.
Yeah, he's a skinny Boris Diaw, man. He's a skinny Boris Diaw.
So,
and oh man,
I
thought Nikola Jokic was going to dominate though Gobert, and he had probably his worst performance I've seen in the last couple of years in the playoffs.
I'm not burying him though. I got to see Game 3. Got to see.
Game 3.
And it's more so about Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's more. I think Minnesota's. I think they might just be hot dogging it.
All right, Sean. I guess you want us to throw 10 for you on the Nuggets to come back in the series? Is that what you're saying?
No. I think, like you said, I think it ends in 5. I think
Minnesota's just
a better team.
Man,
we has to because it's like,
baby, just give me one game. Give me one game.
You say he could cash out?
Nah, I ain't cashing out for an L, man. Stop it. I'm riding with the Nugs, baby.
So we're going to be interested to see by the time we come back on this pod, we'll probably have a good idea of where that series is going. It might be, when did they play again? Friday, I think? Not sure.
I think there's yeah.
If they extend it, then maybe we'll have a reason to talk about it. But speaking of other games and series that started last night, the Knicks and the Pacers, I don't really have too much on this because I just kind of feel like how the series is going to go. But I will say, we know what Jalen Brunson is going to do, but I'm interested to see if Jalen Brunson just has like a normal game where it's like 25 points where the series goes. Because I think they are getting to a point with the Knicks that they are really dependent on Jalen Brunson being just like I'm talking like assist, setting up. And I know he's a point guard, so that's what he does. But him as a scorer, I do know he has the ability to score, but I am a little worried that maybe he has just like not a bad game, but like he just goes for 25 and 11, and I'm nervous like what that like if who else is going to be that extra scoring punch for the Knicks. That's the only thing I'm worried about with the Knicks. But if Jalen Brunson is going to continue to go for 40, they're going to probably sweep the Pacers. So I don't know what you guys' thoughts on it is.
Jalen Brunson, man. He is pulling a James Harden. This is MVP James Harden, not that playoff James Harden, that MVP regular season James Harden. Because the amount of isolation plays they're running for this guy, and this is a short man. He's 6'2", 6'3", maybe, man.
Maybe.
But he is dominating at a level I have not seen probably since like LeBron James as a scorer. Like this is like having 4 straight 40-point games.
Yes.
Last guy to do that was Michael Jordan. And he's getting assists. And he's doing it on a roster where like he's the focal point on the offense. It's not like he has a complimentary all-star caliber player to rely on. He is a one-man show on offense. Josh Hart is a bona fide superstar role player. DiVincenzo is a sniper. You got Hartenstein. He got the little teardrop shot. He could do a little of his role playing defense with a little tear shot. And OG Anunoby is your clear 3-and-D type of player. So if you're looking at the lineup, they don't have a secondary ball handler that could dribble, penetrate, and create shots. Brunson has to be the primary scorer. Brunson has to be the primary playmaker, and he's doing it on 40-plus minutes a game under this Tibbs system right now, where the bench is getting you single-digit points consistently, and they're playing against a team in the Indiana Pacers that has depth that I didn't know of because they going out with Obi Toppin, Jackson. Oh, shout out to TJ McConnell. That guy, TJ McConnell is balling as a backup point guard because not going to lie, that dude had a better game than Tyrese Halliburton. Like Tyrese Tyrese Halliburton in the regular season put some really good numbers. Right now in the playoffs, he doesn't look like that guy right now. He looks a little invisible. And he had a couple of bad turnovers. I remember that one turnover, OG Anunoby with the seal, OG dunking the ball. Like Tyrese Halliburton's supposed to be the superstar point guard. This guy is on the Olympic team. When you make the Olympic team, I got higher expectations. And he is not showing up in the playoffs right now when TJ McConnell is pretty much creating more offense than you.
Side note, real quick, Kyrie should have been on the team over Tyrese Halliburton. I'm sorry.
Easily.
I don't know what
like Tyrese Halliburton, like whatever. I don't know, just want like a playmaker, but he ain't that dude, man. He ain't Olympian good. He ain't Olympian good. So.
And Zoo, they're not going to win a game. I mean, to be honest, based on how Halliburton, and it's not like Siakam had a great game from what I remember.
I'm bringing the nickname back, ICP, man. I have not been a Pascal Siakam fan ever. But he had a nice little first round playoff series. Like he had some nice 30-point games. So I got to give props to him when props are due. But Pascal Siakam, the biggest moments, I do not trust his offensive package, his skill set. And OG Anunoby knows him because they were teammates together. So they're very familiar with each other. And I feel like OG Anunoby is going to be like, okay, this guy, barbecue chicken on defense, man. I ain't worried about ICP, man. I ain't worried about him.
Well, Zoo, they're not winning this series at all if TJ McConnell and Miles Turner are their two best players, man. And no hate, Miles Turner can give you 20 and 10 on any given night.
He can shoot.
You know what he is? He's a more athletic Karl Anthony Towns, man. That's what he can be. That's what he can be. He loves that top of the key 3-pointer, man.
Oh, he loves that shot. Yep.
But he's definitely more athletic. He's more of a rim protector when they need him to be. But TJ McConnell, man, he's another guy, another backup point guard that any team could be paying right now as a solid role player, maybe a sixth man, Tyus Jones kind of guy.
True
point guard. And he's not too flashy. But so my point is, I was surprised that they were even in that game, let alone up 10.
They were dominating, I would say. They were dominating.
But you're talking about the Villanova boys, man. That trio dropping 36 of their 39 points in the fourth quarter. Brunson putting up 21. Josh Hart, Zoo, you called him a certified superstar role player.
Yep.
You want to know what the second best thing on this team has been besides Brunson is his offensive rebounding in general.
Second chance.
If he was, he's got to be averaging at least like 12 rebounds. I mean, he's had a couple games where maybe he's around like the 7 or 8 level.
Yeah, he's averaging greater than 12 rebounds a game in the playoffs.
There you go, in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm not talking about all season, but in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at DiVincenzo, man. He had a couple off games shooting, but that's what shooters do, man. They keep shooting. Thibodeau and Brunson with all the ISO balls, Zoo. Someone's gonna have to help off. For God knows, I don't know why they're using DiVincenzo's defender to help off on Brunson. That's the one guy you can't leave open. I'd live with Josh Hart's shooting threes, even though he's competent.
I hit that wide open one to win a series.
Yeah, I'm allowing Josh Hart to try and beat me more than I am DiVincenzo because he's the one that can get hot and hit 5 or 6 in a game, and then it's over. So yeah, man. I mean, you made an equivalent to LeBron James' dominance. There are two guys that I know we might talk about him. We already talked about Ant. I'm equating both of their runs right now. Now they both might not make the finals. They might not win the finals. That's not what I'm saying here. D-Wade 06, Zoo. That's what I've been thinking of with both of these guys. Now, obviously, D-Wade had Shaq at the time. I'd say Anthony Edwards is a little bit more equivalent for his team because Brunson quite literally has nobody at Shaq's level, even in 06. But we're talking about a guy that averaged 35 a game in the finals back against the Mavs, heavily favored Mavs in that series. And, like I said, Brunson, I'm sorry, unless the Cavaliers somehow upset the Celtics in this series that starts tonight, I'm not putting the Knicks in the finals. I do think they take the series against the Pacers. Sean, I think you said 4. Absolutely. I got them in 5. I think Indy takes one at home just because, they got a good home crowd, and this is the first decent team they've had in a while, really since the PG Danny Granger days, man. That's really the last time they were relevant. And so Knicks, I do think they have a legit shot against the Celtics, but I'm not taking them.
No, I give them no
now,
shot.
The Timberwolves, Zoo, that's another one, man. So I guess they could be making D-Wade type playoff runs right now, and that was kind of the first thing that popped into my head for both of these guys. But to your point, man, Brunson, he's gonna have an off game, Sean. If he does, you better believe Josh Hart and DiVincenzo are going for at least 20 apiece, or Anunoby. Two of those three guys on any given night has to have at least 15 to 17 points.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
With their defensive prowess, they can stay in most games. But the teams that they may have to face off, like a Boston or someone coming out of the West, it's just a little tough to see me going. But hey, man, maybe an Eastern Conference Finals is all they need to hold them over till next year.
Yeah, because
next year, huh?
D-Book, man.
Yeah, they're one more perimeter score away because they're relying on Josh Hart to become. They're doing. I would say he's a superstar role player. His offensive rebounding, but also his passing and his ability to start fast breaks.
Yeah,
like he had a lot of. Might say hyperbolic. He had a lot of Magic Johnson moments, man. He just gets the ball, layup package. His rebounding and pushing the pace to get easy baskets been extremely effective for this Knicks team because in the half court offense,
he never sits.
They need those easy baskets because in half court offense, it's very, very tiring on Brunson doing all those dribble moves, dribble package, and trying to score on this Indiana Pacers team. So they need as many easy baskets as possible, and fast breaks is the easiest way to do it, especially in the playoffs right now.
Good point.
Josh Hart is starting a lot of fast breaks and getting buckets. So this guy's having one of the better series I remember.
I don't know if we started now, but like picking who would you rather have in terms of Brunson and Anthony Edwards, I kind of feel like the thing with Brunson, while it is impressive what he's doing in terms of like just scoring, facilitating, and pretty much being a do-it-all player for the Knicks, I mean, the NBA has a very good history. Like if you just go into the books of if you just go into a library that's the NBA library, you just go into the books and see like how are NBA championships won. They're not won, and this is in no way I'm crapping on Jalen Brunson, but we've seen this before. Like we've seen the undersized guard go crazy. But then when the undersized guard has to go against maybe another wing that's like, you don't even have to, I wouldn't say you have to be a Jalen McDaniels type of wing defensive because he's like the apex of that. But like if you're just a good wing defender, you could take Jalen Brunson away. And I hate to do this to you guys, but like the perfect example is when LeBron did this to D Rose in the playoffs. Like in those last couple of minutes, like he shut down D Rose, and it's because LeBron was just a bigger athlete. It's nothing against D Rose. He didn't have any help. 6'1". I saw a post the other day where they were talking about like if Kyrie was 6'6", he would be in the conversation for being like maybe a top 5 player ever because he's just that skilled at 6'1", 6'2". And as good as Jalen Brunson is, I would rather have Anthony Edwards because even though Ant is not a 6'7" wing, he's still in the 6'4", 6'5" range. So that puts him right because D-Wade wasn't a 6'5", 6'6" wing, but he was considered a wing. I think Anthony Edwards I don't know what the stats are, but I think he's a little bit a better shooter than D-Wade. So
to me, better 3-point shooter.
So to me, it's like I'm gonna decide with that guy, even though there's a chance. Like, wouldn't it be crazy if they met in the finals? Like, if the Knicks beat the Celtics, that'd be crazy. Then we'd be able to answer this question for real. But I'm still gonna side with Ant because not only is he's a wing position, I do feel like he is like a relentless defender when he wants to be. Like I don't think Jalen Brunson has it in his bag to guard as good as Anthony Edwards can, and Anthony Edwards could, if he wanted to, be a two-way player. And to me, that's just that's like icing on the cake. Like if you give me the Ant-Man that's going for 40, but then on the other side he's harassing like your number 2 option or even number 1 option sometimes, give me that guy. Like give me that guy. And that's like I said, there's no shade against Jalen Brunson because I think what he's doing is more impressive because like I said, they don't have a number 2 option. They don't.
Right.
Like they just have guys that are trying hard and like you said, they're getting fast breaks and they're making 3-point shots. But all it takes is for Brunson to have a 25-point game, and then now you're telling me I need Josh Hart to no. I don't want to hear nothing about Josh Hart running a play and getting to the basket. Like, no. I want him to get an offensive rebound and get a putback and get to the line. Like, I don't need I guess Anunoby could get hot, but that's asking a lot too. Like he's still just a 3-and-D guy. So
3-and-D, I know dribble package. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta side with Ant too. I mean, as much as I love watching Brunson, to your point, I think you put it perfectly. He's doing something. They're pretty much equivalent in what they're doing right now. I'd say Brunson is averaging more in this playoffs. It is more impressive of what he's doing because he does have less. But Anthony Edwards, man, I think even though Brunson gets a lot of assists and all that, I think it's because he is the only option. And so therefore he gets all the attention and he just kicks out to a wide open guy for a shot, nice little hook shot by Haverstein or whatever his name is. Hartenstein, thank you. But Anthony Edwards is playing with another guy and he's getting double teamed a lot. And I feel like, to your point, he's taken a nice jump that we've already seen Brunson take, and he's only 22. Right? So I'm going to take the younger guy. And to your point about the league that they kind of push players into the spotlight. They like an athletic guy that can make highlight plays, and that's what Anthony Edwards is. Is he more at risk for an injury in that sense? Probably, but he's going to be.
I don't know. He's built like a bull. He ain't like skinny, like a John Morant skinny. Skinny athletic. He is built and he can jump. Like
his first love was football, so like he's a football kid that just I'm going to play basketball and become the number one pick.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly. Yeah, which shout out Tom Crean, man, for recruiting this guy to Georgia and how no one else got him. I have no clue. But
he's a Georgia boy.
Funny that he went to a football school because
the story was the funny you brought that up real quick. He was like at the time like Florida State's kind of falling on hard times because their coach is probably about to retire. But Florida State, when he was like Florida State was kind of underrated. You guys know Florida State. You guys got Patrick Williams, but like Florida State has had like a good amount of wings and guards that come out, and they kind of were like an NBA factory a little bit. So like he was going to go to Florida State, and I want to say NIL was kind of in the baby stages of NIL, and it kind of was getting introduced. And then I think that was kind of like the tipping point to where he was I'm just gonna stay in Georgia or whatever. Because he was like signed, sealed, delivered apparently to go to Florida State, and then which is another football school. So I mean, I don't know. It's just those guys that are one and done, they're there for a year and they're out. So wherever the party is, I'm just gonna go there, party, drop 20, and get drafted in the NBA. I don't really care about if it's a basketball school, but go ahead.
No, that's all I got, man. I just wanted to shout it out, man, because he's just it's been fun to watch him play. I like seeing a new star born and that's willing to take over a game and be very serious about it. So it's just exciting to see for the NBA.
Not only showing like unbelievable ability on the court, man, off the court, we're seeing some leadership. They said when you see this guy in post-game press conference, he already had the charisma. As a rookie, I saw the interviews with this guy. I was like, this dude already has that charismatic ability to be a likable guy and potentially be a future leader. But we're seeing him right now, like going on Cat and not fouling, and Cap taking that opinion obviously easily because Ant-Man just has that swag that some other dudes just don't have. And it's something special. It's something you can't teach. It's something you can't learn. It's just something you innate have. And Ant-Man has that it factor where his charisma, his leadership, like when you go on the court and you got Ant-Man on your team, you play with a little confidence because we got that guy on our team that could be the face of this league right now, where he becomes the face of pretty much North American basketball because we got all the Euros dominating. You got John Morant acting a fool. Anthony Edwards,
I know he's got to be seething.
This was John Morant's throne that when he was leading that Grizzlies team, he was looking like that guy, but with him acting a fool, Ant-Man just snatched it from him, and he's going to get that nice shoe contract, and he's leading his team to the conference finals. He's going to potentially knock off the MVP, and if he makes it to the NBA finals as a 22-year-old and somehow wins an NBA championship, oh my, we're going to be having conversations. Because if winning a title at 22, that's something that Michael Jordan didn't do, LeBron James didn't do, Kevin Durant didn't do. Like, my goodness, this is unprecedented.
Wade was the closest one.
Yeah, Wade was the closest one. He played a couple more years in college, but
he won in his third year.
In his third year. So I'm like, he might do something that's unprecedented. So we might have a future conversation about that because destroying the Phoenix Suns as a sweep. That's too hard,
man. Come on.
I don't know. A sweep?
Okay, not a sweep, but I thought they were going to work
them is one thing, but sweeping them in that factor against Katie and Book, they played every single game. They weren't injured. Sweeping two Hall of Famers, and if you sweep or beat this Nuggets team in 4 or 5, that's an MVP. That's a 3-time MVP, and they somehow beat whoever, Luka or Shea, in the next series and make it to the finals.
Especially if him and Luka matched up.
God.
Stop.
I'm actually rooting for that. I'm actually rooting for
it's
that.
the new teams, boys. It's going to be Shea versus Anthony Edwards.
Man, I just remember
I'd rather see Luka because
I remember we had a conversation about which team will be more surprised the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it might happen meeting up in the playoffs, which is shocking to me if that happens.
Yeah.
I honestly, that probably more likely might happen because you still got to depend on Luka and Kyrie, but just for entertainment value, like right now I'm loving what Anthony, like most of America is loving what Anthony Edwards is doing, but also like I still like Luka a lot. So like either way, whoever wins that series ends up in the finals, I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm happy because it's like you're gonna have the dawn of Anthony Edwards if he makes it to the finals, or you're gonna have Luka who's like, okay, now he's finally on the big stage. And he's going against who more than likely probably Boston.
But, I know we're not gonna talk about too in depth of the two games tonight, but man, we got to think about Luka here, man. Kyrie was the one that took him through that series against the Clippers, man.
I give you that, numbers, but Luka closed the game.
He did close the game,
sealing, the game 6, he was phenomenal.
He did, but Zoo, in that game 6, though, Kyrie had 2 points in the first half, man. He comes out and pretty much carries them and gets his. Luka had his. I'm not making this equivalent, but we were just talking about it. Luka had his little Jamal Murray end of the game moment there in the series. I'm not saying they're the same player, but he was not showing up efficiently. 1 for 10 from 3. 1 for 10.
I had a bet on Luka with 3 threes, man. Very disappointing.
Yeah, so I'm not saying, look, he's a great player and all that, but he needs to change it up because this Thunder team,
you got to figure it out.
They have some physicality too on their wing defenders, man. So
Lou Dort,
man,
Lou Dort's ready.
No joke. He is no joke.
I wonder. I guess he would take Luka.
Lou Dort would definitely. Yeah,
SGA would take Kyrie.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
SGA go get cooked by Kai. I'm sorry.
Kai cooks everybody. So
but I mean that might be a. We'll see because I think he will start off on Lou Dort, but Kyrie might go crazy if it's Shea guarding him because Kai is he's a guy who, like you said, he's won the NBA Finals. He made one of the biggest shots in NBA history. Like he's not fearful of the moment. So like he is a perfect number 2 for someone like Luka. And I think Luka's going to self-correct and he's going to get right. So
he had a bad series. The
shooting is a little concerning, but
that's the thing.
And plus, too, Clippers got defenders, but I mean, who else on OKC outside of Lou Dort? Who you think could? I mean, I don't know.
Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams, maybe.
Jalen Williams,
he's a bigger wing,
physical defender.
So no one locks him up. I mean, he drops 32 on crappy shooting percentage. He's still going to put up numbers.
No, he's going to put up 30 easily still. Yeah,
because as long as you force him to have a bad game, and even if Kyrie plays well, PJ Washington's their 3rd best scorer. I mean, come on.
So, I don't know anybody after that. So, and then
Cleveland, I think
needs a bench. One of their shooters was out.
That's the thing, man. They need a bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're. I mean, I like Derek Lively, but he's still got to continue to grow as a interior defender. But I mean, it's coming down to those 2 guys. So I mean, my heart kind of wants to go with Dallas, and
I have Dallas. I picked Dallas before
because I just think the 2 stars in that moment, like OKC. How we learned in NBA, it's a process. You can't just be. I mean, the Thunder with Kevin Durant and James Harden and Russell Westbrook, they kind of broke the mold and changed it up a little bit, but that ain't normally how it goes. You got to take your lump. So, I think I'm gonna side with the Mavericks there, and I don't really have an opinion on the Celtics.
Celtics in 5.
Especially if you look at that, score right now, that's all you need to know.
Now, once again, another one you could argue the same thing. Tatum was not the one that they needed him to, but carrying in that series, it was Brown. But they are without Kristaps tonight. We'll see how long it lasts.
The only chance, I take it back. The only chance they have is if Evan Mobley just goes nuclear and starts showing some signs that we don't. Yeah, the center. Like if the center goes crazy and it opens up Donovan Mitchell and other guys, that's the only chance they have.
Yeah, I guess they have no chance there because Evan Mobley ain't going nuclear, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I just don't.
I don't believe in his offensive game yet.
No, me either. He kind of got hyped up because he can make a couple 3-point shots, but that's not his.
No.
He's not a guy that can bring the ball up and shoot threes. That's just not what he does. So I'm not really thinking that series is going to go too far. So, listen, these playoffs, man, we're like we said it. I think maybe a couple pods ago, or I said it. Dawn of a new era. We're definitely going to have new, especially if Boston acts weird and doesn't get to the finals. Like we're going to have new blood in the finals, and it's going to be interesting for the NBA because, like I said, we're kind of getting to a point now where we have really good players in this league. We got really good players. That's showcasing.
And potentially a new champ that hasn't won. If the Denver Nuggets lose, either Ant-Man, Shea, Luka, or Tatum is going to win a ring. Yeah.
Brunson.
Like one of the or Brunson. Yeah, I've already read it off the Knicks, but Brunson, I'll throw him in there.
Halliburton, come on, man.
0% chance, 0% chance they win a ring. Zero.
I don't know what those.
So one of those 4 or 5 guys might be getting jewelry in the Denver Nuggets.
And you know what? We talk about the face of the NBA. To your point, all those new guys, they could start maybe making a stake because we thought it was going to be Giannis, but he never got back.
Nah.
But to my point, it speaks about the depth of the league. But it's like, especially if Ant-Man wins it, or like if maybe Luka wins it, they're still, I feel like, and Tatum to an extent, but they're still young enough to where it's like, okay, if they win the championship, then the conversation will start going, because unlike Tatum is kind of hard to, because I don't think he's like a crazy personality. I think he's like, he has moments, but like I don't think he's a crazy personality. But like Ant-Man, really it's just Ant-Man, because Luka don't really have crazy personality either. So it's really, if Ant-Man wins it, that is the perfect scenario. Yeah,
it was Ant-Man and Ja. To your point, it was Ant-Man and Ja. So we'll see what. And not saying it, we got to see what the Grizzlies end up doing this year, man. Because
this is just my. I got to bring out my South Carolina bias. Like, I'm not going to completely bury Ja, because looking at how Gigi Jackson played and then looking at some of the other pieces they got, they're going to have something to say next year. If Ja comes back healthy and is coming back and plays at a high level, and then you got Gigi, who's a 6'8" wing who can shoot it.
Maybe they make a trade too, man. That's the only way that they're going to improve. They got to pull up some type of trade, man. So there's some disgruntled people throughout the NBA right now. I think you can see that.
Man, I just thought, what about Book with Memphis? Yeah. What if he just was there knocked? I know I got Desmond Bain. Maybe throw Desmond Bain away.
That owner ain't trading Booker, man.
Nah, probably.
Nah, he went all in. He went all in.
He's not trading Booker unless Booker asks for it. But we'll see. Like I said, the playoffs is super interesting. Like I said, we're coming off Cinco de Mayo. We're coming off F1 and Kentucky Derby. I think what's next? The Preakness. I don't know if that's this week or whenever. Preakness. Another betting circle you guys can maybe get into. So even though we won't be covering that, we cover NBA playoffs and NFL and things of that nature. So follow us on Tyson Talks _ on Instagram, YouTube, Quantrill Knows, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple. 5-star review to get us in the algorithm so we can get more people to watch our shows. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.